What's up, guys? Welcome back to That So Dev. My name is Dev. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I appreciate you. You know we have some baking tea to get into. Come on now, it's Christmas time. Be serious, okay? Now, before we get into that tea, make sure you go and follow me at That So Dev on Twitter, Instagram, and literally everywhere else. Now, let's get into this baking because look, I um I have scaled back the amount of things that I bake during the holidays. I used to bake so many different things. Oh my goodness. I guess, my dog has not wanted to play with this toy for days. But I guess now that I'm recording, oh my goodness. Basil, Basil baby, can we leave it? Thank you, good girl. She's the cutest. Oh my goodness. She has her own Christmas presents that I just can't wait for her to unwrap and lose her mind. Anyway, back to baking. Now that my dog is done and has been inconvenienced by me, let's get back on track. So, there's a lot of Christmas baking going on. Let's be serious. I've scaled back the amount that I have been baking because, you know, I, for one, didn't want to stretch myself too thin, but also it's like I want to focus on the quality of things. And it's not that things weren't quality, but I just kind of wanted to step things up. In order to do that, I needed to focus on less and kind of just take things one at a time. So instead of baking maybe like seven or eight different things, I did two or three, So that's been just a nice shift for me because it's allowed me to step my game up. So, this Christmas, I kept it simple, but I kept it on theme. I kept it classic, and I'm just really excited about a lot of it. So, let's not waste any time. Let's just get into what I'm baking. And the first thing that I want to talk about is the cookies. Because I baked a lot of cookies. And the first thing I baked is a homemade gluten free chocolate chip cookie. It's fantastic. It honestly came out so much better than I anticipated. And it was just the fact that it's something that I've made over and over again, but the way that it came out this time is kind of like, well, damn, you maybe you got this shit down. So, the chocolate chip cookies, they were just so soft. They had a crispiness, but a soft texture, and it was just a melt away type taste in your mouth, and it was so fantastic. So we did gluten free chocolate chip cookies. I did ube sugar cookies. Now I've done ube sugar cookies before, but I wanted to do them better. That's just what it comes down to. I wanted to do them again and I want to do them better. I often do some of the things that I've done before just because I know that I'm in a different place with the baking now than I was then. And I want to kind of recreate and step it up with that recipe. So, ube sugar cookies definitely was the main one. And honestly, the way it came out was just so amazing. I mean, I like a nice sugar cookie that has a crisp on the outside and the inside is really so nice and chewy. So it was perfect. The ube is screaming. So I actually added actual ube, which if you didn't know is purple yam. I actually added it into the cookie, and I think that it just made the texture of the cookie much softer. So much. I mean, like, it just the texture of ube in general. I mean, I guess it's depending on how you cook it, but I just feel like it just added for one so much flavor to the cookie. But no, it just really brought it to life. So I am obsessed with that. So we have gluten free chocolate chip cookies and our ube cookies, sugar cookies to be specific. Love that. Next, I did a classic oatmeal cookie. And, you know, for this oatmeal cookie, I I usually will do homemade, but this time I was like, I'm making so many things, I don't really care. And even if I do decide that I'm going to use boxed things, I do things so differently to where it's homemade. I feel like homemade is, anything that you really can craft and curate in your own way. Like it's almost like I say this all the time. I use a template every time I update my resume, right? I find mixes to kind of be like a template. That's just me. So, I mean, it doesn't mean you didn't do your resume. It doesn't mean you didn't make that homemade. Look, that's all I'm saying. Homemade is not classified by making things from scratch to me. There's a lot of things that can go into what makes something homemade. Anywho, so the oat milk cookies, for sure. I wanted to add some brown sugar and some cinnamon into it as well. Obviously, vanilla extract, I also added that into the chocolate chip cookies as well, obviously. But the ube cookies as well, I use ube extract. So I like to use oils because I feel like they really get the flavor out. But the extracts were fine this time. Look, I'm just telling you, these cookies came out fantastic and so much better than I obviously knew that they were going to come. I knew these were going to come out good. I just have the recipes down pat, but it just came out so much better than what I anticipated. And it's very rare that I have every single thing that I make come out the way that I want it. And that happened. Love that. So, oatmeal cookies, gluten free chocolate chip, and ube cookies. Now, the last cookie that I made four cookies. Yep, I did. The last cookie, I have to say, oh my goodness. So I made a homemade red velvet cookies and cream cookie. Now, first of all, I love making red velvet because I mean, it's essentially chocolate with just some red dye. Let's be serious here. To me, anyway, I'm sure somebody has an opinion on that. That's pretty heavy. Anyway, so red velvet, just like I feel like it's so fluffy all the time. Anytime that I have red velvet, it's pretty fluffy. So this cookie to me, it came out so incredibly fluffy. And I think it had a lot to do with the butter. Like I really whipped the butter beforehand and I did the my sugar, my butter, I creamed those together as well. And oh my goodness, I mean, I don't know. I have, it's just, I guess we can say, well, yeah, you kind of perfected the recipe. You keep making it over and over and over again. And honestly, it just came out so good that I kind of gagged myself. I was like, oh, okay, bitch, cool. Well, if that's how we rolling, anyway. So the red velvet cookies and cream, they came out amazing. I put Hershey's cookies and cream kisses. I chopped those up in my Ninja, and then I crushed up some Oreos with a hammer, and I stuck them in the top. I put them inside the cookies, so with every bite you're gonna get, cookies and cream. That was the idea. I wanted to load these cookies up, and that's exactly what they look like, but in the best way. So wonderful. I think that the red velvet is probably my favorite cookies. I mean, it's aesthetically pleasing, and also at the same time, it's a combination of everything that I like. And it's honestly so weird because I'm not a huge chocolate person, but I will eat red velvet. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that red velvet is typically paired with cream cheese, and chocolate cake tends to be with chocolate frosting. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the culture surrounding it. Don't ask me. Moving on. So those are four cookies: red velvet cookies and cream, oatmeal, gluten free chocolate chip, and ube sugar cookies. Fantastic. I'm telling you, these cookies are to die for. So, moving on. Next, I decided that I wanted to make gingerbread cake balls. Girl, I mean, like, when I say chef's kiss, I like exclamation mark reaction. iPhone, it's giving that. Like, hello. I mean, first of all, I already. And the thing here is fluffy. I'm not giving away my secrets to, what makes my cakes and my cookies a certain way that is signature to me. I'm not giving that away. I'm very vague when it comes to talking about these things. Let me share little general things that everybody shares. Like, this is public knowledge. Like, you can go Google this right now. you know, but there are certain things that I think that every baker does that makes their cakes unique. Like, there's no one way to make something. Like, a lot of people who really study recipes and just, you know, they create their own recipes, and it takes a lot of science. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but oh my goodness, just seeing people put together recipes piece by piece from the ground up and them just experimenting with it, inspiring, truly. I don't have the energy for it, no shade, but like, love that. Inspiring, truly. It makes me want more. Maybe not want to do more in this sense, but want more in general. Like, you get it. Anyway, no, I mean, girl, look, the cake boss came out fantastic, and I had this grand idea, and I was like, look, I'm just going to bake this cake. I'm going to immediately put it in my mixer, and I'm going to mix this cake up. Because, look, see, because I don't want to give it away. But look, obviously, everybody knows, look, you have to mix up the cake and the frosting, or cake and cream cheese, or super hot cake. These are general methods to making cake pop, cake balls, whatever the case may be. So when it came to this, I was just kind of like, first of all, I have to get meltaways because the meltaways, chocolate wafers, they are the best to me to use if you are going to do anything like a cake pop or a cake ball. So that's immediately what I got. I decided, you want to know what? I'm going to throw this cake in here. I'm actually going to use frosting. And I meant to do the cake hot, but I totally forgot about it because I was just doing everything you could possibly imagine. I literally baked for almost 12 hours. I think it was about 10. I baked from about 8 to around 6 p.m., I want to say. Insane. I know. But it is what it is. I love it. And I didn't have a problem doing it. I mean, my back was hurting by the end of it. but, the bitch is slaving up in the motherfucking kitchen. Like, I mean, it's just, it is what it is. I do it every year, and I have fun doing it. And everything came out the way that I wanted it to. And, you know, the reason, like I said, the reason why I scaled back everything to begin with was because I wanted to focus on the quality. I wanted everything to be a step up. I wanted to hone in on the presentation. I want to hone in on the taste. I want to hone in on the ingredients, switching ingredients in and out that actually fit, that are customized to my baking personality. So that's just the whole idea around all of that. But like I said, these cake balls came out amazing. I honestly could not be more happy. And oh my goodness, I wish I could tell you guys because I'm going to put out a cookbook. But it's just that, oh my goodness, like, no, like, I can't. I'm just sitting here thinking because I'm gagging right now in real time, mentally, but I can't say it out loud because of my secrets. But I ate that. And I'm just sitting here thinking about the methods that it took to really bring out the flavor of gingerbread naturally, and just how intricate it was for me when I do share it in the cookbook that's going to come out eventually. I'm not rushing that, but eventually. It's just going to kind of be like, oh, well, damn. Like, it's so simple, but also just a great way to pack flavor into something. And it's not really a method that I have heard of. I mean, obviously, I've heard of it maybe once or twice, but it's not something that people are actively doing on a regular basis or a method that I grew up knowing. So I had a lot of fun, especially with those cake balls. So moving on from the cake balls, next we have our little mini cake loaves. I'm going to give these to my neighbors. I made little gingerbread cake loaves, and I put them in mini tins with plastic tops, and I sprinkled them with silver sprinkles and a Santa Claus hat in the middle. I mean, it's giving a cute winter wonderland, which was the idea around it to begin with. But you know, also on top of that, because I made this cake along with those mini loaves, I made a Christmas tree cake. The Christmas tree cake, it's almond flavored with an almond flavored frosting as well. It's fantastic. It honestly reminds me of the taste of a crumble cookie. The pink sugar, if you had it, that's exactly what it reminds me of. I was kind of gagged a bit. I mean, it wasn't the idea, but it was the inspiration behind the flavoring of it. So, I mean, love that. Anyhow, I mean, I feel like that this Christmas tree cake, it came out so fantastic. I had this idea, and that's what happens. I have an idea, and once I start baking, once I see how everything is going, sometimes I could change my mind at the last minute because maybe what I planned, I thought of something better in the moment. And that's why I always plan. I plan everything down so I know exactly what I'm going to do. So if I think of something in the middle of doing all of this, it's not going to throw me off. It's not going to be something entirely new. I knew this was going to be a possibility. I set myself up to be less stressed when I do. It's just that, I mean, that's just the tea. So, with this cake, again, I wanted to do it so classic. I was like, maybe I'll do the cake red, and then I'll do some green frosting, and then I'm gonna get these Sour Patch ornaments and just decorate the tree and blah blah blah. Like 90% of that shit did not happen. 90% of it, yeah, it was giving winter wonderland, but not classic colors. It was giving the like blues, the silvers, the maroon burgundy type pink teas. I mean, it was just the kind of decorations that I had that led me to wanting to do these colors. So I actually dyed the cake. It's a grayish purple color, and then the frosting is actually purple. And then we decorate it with silver crystals, a silver glitter spray, and then we actually do use the Sour Patch ornaments because it still makes it look good. It really brings out the Christmas in it. And for the star, I had no idea. I didn't even think about it. I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do? So I was like, the cake is purple, right? Like, okay, hold on. My gears are turning. I was like, okay. And I got the idea. I was like, no, know what? I made purple ube sugar cookies. I literally took a star cookie cutter, cut in the middle of a Uber, not an Uber, of an ube cookie, and then it was the shape of a star, and I just put it on top of the tree. It was fantastic. It looks amazing. The pictures on Instagram are gonna be fantastic. Absolutely. I mean, whoa. First of all, yes, love it. I use you see, because I just be talking. I was about to say I use blah blah blah, and I know better. But I use a certain ingredient inside my cakes that really makes the cake fluffy. So I didn't use it inside the Christmas tree cake because I I wanted to take a different approach with it, and honestly, it didn't taste bad. Oil is fine, whatever. I used oil in it. I can say that because literally that's the most basic you can use. There aren't several options that you can use, so but I kind of took a classic approach with the Christmas tree cake, and I just think that you know like I said, I spruced some things up. I kept some things classic, and it was just it felt overall like a nice meet in the middle. But moving on from the Christmas tea cake, so we had our four cookies, our gingerbread cake balls, and our Christmas tree cake, which is phenomenal. So I believe the final thing that we do have. Oh, it's not the final thing. Actually, well, one thing that I did, I made a cranberry orange loaf. I actually decided that I was just going to do a box for this one. I really didn't care. But, as usual, gotta spruce it up a bit because I felt like it was pretty basic. So I wanted to actually use real orange juice inside of it. I used fresh orange zest as well because I just really wanted the orange to pop out because I felt like the cranberry was really going to overtake it. And I was right. So I'm very excited about that loaf. It's super, again, the theme here is fluffy because everything came out really fluffy. And I love such a light texture, and everything's just a melt away in your mouth where it needs to be, and everything is a crunchy, chewy texture where it needs to be. Like everything is exactly how I wanted it to be. And I keep saying that because, like, a bitch is still gagged. That just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. There's always at least one thing that I'm like, that is terrible. But a lot of people who are going to see the post, they're not going to care. So it knows what it is. And a lot of my baking, like my So Sweet's Instagram, it's not to be like, oh, this is, I'm at my peak right now, posting all of these pictures. Like, if you look at the very first post, it is documentation of the growth of So Sweets. And honestly, I think it's very well documented. I gotta say, I mean, every time I look at it, I'm just like, whoa, like the difference between then and now, astounding, phenomenal. So, obsessed with that. Moving on. So, last thing, my allergies is killing me. Oh my god, why can't I breathe? Jesus. Anyway, so last thing, I made a spiced apple cider cake. Phenomenal. Oh my goodness. So, I made this entirely from scratch. Period. End of discussion. But let me talk about the buttercream. Oh my goodness. I don't care if it's even my thing. Maybe somebody else obviously uses it out there. But I put apple butter inside of the buttercream. It made it so, again, fluffy. I mean, it just took the buttercream to a whole new level. And, you know, obviously, I had to add some powdered sugar to just stiffen up just a little bit because, in my mind, at the time when I was planning this out, I made my cookie butter cake and I actually used cookie butter. And the cookie butter made the frosting so fluffy, yet so stiff to where it really held on the cake. But the apple butter made this frosting, I mean, it was so whippy and light, and I had to add that powdered sugar in so it could really stand, which is nice. I did not mind. It did not take away from the flavor. I actually think that it really made the flavor pop even more. So, I mean, the apple spice cake was just, it's wonderful. I'm going to be real. I mean, I used, actually, I used apple cider. Yeah, I actually used apple cider in the cake. I mean, it's an apple cider cake. What else would I do? And I just feel like the apple cider was so concentrated in this cake. It's so prominent. And that's the main thing that I want on my cakes. And again, that's why I use oils. I use oils because I want my cakes to really hone in on that flavor. If I want cotton candy, I'm going to get that oil. If I want bubblegum, I'm going to get that oil. Like, extracts don't always do things justice, and sometimes it doesn't really embody the flavor that you want. So those oils have changed my life. I'm telling you now. So, and it makes all the world of a difference. But honestly, y'all, I mean, that's all that I baked. I said that's all like, quick list. No, I made a spiced apple cider cake. I made gingerbread cake balls. I made mini gingerbread cake loaves for my neighbors. I made cranberry orange loaf. I made a Christmas tree cake. I made chocolate chip cookies. I made red velvet cookies and cream. I made oatmeal, gluten free chocolate chip. Did I say that already? I did. And then ube sugar cookies. So, yay. I probably missed something. I don't know if I did, but I feel like I probably did. It is what it is. But, it's been a long day. I mean, I've been baking for 10 hours. Sometimes I do the podcast before I bake and let everybody know. Sometimes I do it after. But today I'm doing it after. It's been a very long day. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I had to come on here and share this with you guys because we talk about baking every single holiday. Okay? So, I'm just here to share my baking with the people and, you know, talk to myself for about 30 minutes. No, but I do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I mean, oh my goodness, I've been doing these baking podcasts for a while, and each year more and more people just keep tuning in. So, hey, love that for you. Stick around. This is the That's So Dev podcast where you stay true and you stay you. Love that for you. Anyhow, so I'm wrapping this up now, guys. I do appreciate you guys yet again. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms. That's Sowdev on Twitter, Instagram, and literally everywhere else, including YouTube. We kind of popping over there. All right, guys. Once again, I'm hopping off here. Eat some good food, drink some water, take care of yourself, and I will see you on the next podcast. Peace.